are back once again discussing the first reading on the Middle East and the United States' relationship with it. There are two countries this video will focus on. The first will be Iran, and then the second one will be Iraq. The reading focuses on Iran's relationship with the United States leading into the 1970s and then through the 1970s. At this time, the United States has a positive relationship with Iran. However, within the country, the Iranians are frustrated. There's a lot of corruption going on. There are other problems. So anything that is a struggle in that country is, of course, felt by the people. And this leads to growing unrest within the country of Iran. The Shah is the one who they blame, and they become more and more disheartened by his actions and by his relationship with the United States. Eventually, he is forced to flee Iran and receives sanctuary in the U.S. Because of the relationship the Shah had with the United States in the West, this discontent by the people led to a fundamentalist backlash in Iran. We've already discussed that fundamentalism and political Islam, that's what comes to a head in Iran. The spiritual leader of the time is Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. That is who the people look to, and he will be the one to take over in Iran. The significant historical event that comes out of this situation is the Iranian hostage situation that takes place on the soil of the U.S. Embassy. What has to be kept in mind is that when someone is on the soil of another country's embassy, that person is considered in that embassy's country. So when the United States has its embassy stormed by Iranian students, the U.S. considers it an attack on the United States. In that sense, this is a pretty significant situation. This does lead to another oil scare, not only for the United States, but for the West. Now we'll switch gears and move our discussion from the country of Iran to Iraq. The United States did have a relationship with Iraq during the 1980s, but it ramps up at the start of the next decade when Iraq invades the country of Kuwait. The issue for Iraq was they believed Kuwait was purposefully hurting its economy. The point is the United States in a post-Cold War world is going to take action. Before the United States takes its military and goes in and immediately kicks out Iraq, it will engage in negotiations with other countries in the Middle East and around the world to get some sort of approval to go in and build a coalition. After it does that, the United States engages in war with Iraq with the intent of kicking Iraq out of Kuwait. What happened in the Persian Gulf War? Saddam Hussein, the leader of Iraq, thought this was going to be a great battle. Iraq did have very strong ground forces. However, the ground forces simply were overwhelmed by what the United States and the coalition of forces presented them with. The war was over in a matter of a few months, and the original goal of the United States, which was to remove Iraqi forces and Saddam Hussein from Kuwait, was achieved. Saddam Hussein remained in control of his country of Iraq. He was not removed from power. Once again, that was not part of the original goal. As for the different results of the Persian Gulf War, one of them was simply Saddam Hussein lighting oil wells on fire and spilling oil into the Gulf. The takeaway is, once again, the United States and the West has reliance on oil. Saddam Hussein is not only hurting the Kuwait economy by lighting oil wells on fire, but is also using the destruction of oil as a weapon, an economic weapon, against the United States and the West. Ultimately, from the U.S. perspective, it does gain greater influence in the region because of how it went about creating a coalition, and on top of that, stuck to its original goal. At the same time, though, there are those that are bothered by this, and the U.S. presence creates other consequences. There are two general takeaways I'd like you to think about prior to heading into the next video. The first is the United States and its relationship with Israel. How does that continue to develop until the present day? The second takeaway would be the United States and its pursuit for a stabilized region in the Middle East. Why would it want a stabilized region in the Middle East? One word: oil. All right, that's it this time. We'll see you next time.